Hello, you are listening to the Child Care Director's Chair podcast. Your host, Erica Saccoccio, invites you to join her community of passionate and inspiring leaders in the ECE field, where she discusses, reflects, and shares the best ways to invest in our children, families, teachers, and community. Because after all, we know they are the heartbeat of any successful program.
Hey guys, Erica Saccoccio here with another episode of the Child Care Director's Chair podcast. Thank you so much for hitting that play button. You know that we love you. So it is Wednesday and it is guest day, so I am super excited. There are lots of things that we talk about on this show, especially in terms of leadership. And I believe that a great leader understands high quality is extremely important to families and certainly important to children. So, I thought we would talk about accreditation today with our guest, Melody McGuire from, you might know her, from ECE Circle Time. Welcome to the show, Melody. So Melody does lots of different things. She is a accelerator. She helps folks accelerate through that process because we know it can be a little overwhelming if you've ever done it before. There's a ton of paperwork. So sometimes people get that and they freeze up. So it's really nice to have support for sure. When my program went through accreditation, we did it as a cohort. So it was me and 4 other programs. So we all had each other. But I couldn't imagine doing that journey alone. Also, you may have seen her on Instagram. She's got quite the little following there. Girl, I see you. Oh, your reels show up on my For You page all the time. Also, her mission is really to network with people, connect people, and inspire people in the ECE field. And that rings to my heart. So that is why you were selected to be on our show, because I also believe in inspiring people. Right now, all we hear is doom and gloom about childcare. No matter what radio show, what TV, what newspaper, like that's all we're talking about. Childcare crisis. You can't get any staff. No one can afford it. Places closing down. Blah 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 blah. Nope. Some of us are like, no, we're resilient. We're gonna plow through this. Don't tell us when we're done. We'll tell you when we're done, and we're not done. So, with further ado, tell folks a little bit about how you ended up in the field and doing what you're doing.
Yes, I ended up in the field much like how many people end up in any field. We may come for all of the wrong reasons, but we stay for all of the right. Then, a little bit over 20 years ago, all of the wrong reasons were to be off at night, to not smell like hamburgers or French fries, to make sure I had the weekend. But I ended up staying for all of the right reasons. The connecting, the networking, and seeing myself in the eyes of the children and knowing that I can make a difference not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom and across the world. So this is how I ended up in this industry. I was at a point where I wasn't really quite ready to continue my education at the university. And so I didn't want to waste any money. I had an opportunity to connect with the local workforce development organization. They connected me with a staffing agency. And for the past 20 years, I have started out from substitute to lead teacher to center manager to licensing consultant to quality assurance to a professor and to now as the CEO of the Early Childhood Educators Circle Time.
That's a lot of things. And I think a lot of people can relate to you. That's probably why people love you and follow you because so many of us, like you said, we find ourselves here, whether we had a
Yes.
baby, we had a change in a career, we were done working retail and
Yes.
didn't want to work nights, weekends, holidays. I totally get it. And
Mm-hmm.
most of us have moved up the ranks for sure. But I think that that's a
Yes.
good thing because we have
Mm-hmm.
such an advantage over an owner who literally just bought a center, never has done all of the pieces. So how are you going to tell the bus driver how to drive the bus and all the safety checks if you ain't never really done it, right? You can't really, I
Never.
mean, maybe you got a checklist that you pulled off a chat,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't really
Mm-hmm.
know the ins and outs
Yes.
as somebody who has done it, right?
Yes. Oh, you are so Right. And I'm thankful for entrepreneurs and for investors that really want to invest in early childhood education. But you need seasoned people and people who are
Yeah.
willing and ready to put their boots to the ground to do the
Hmm.
dirty work. And a lot of times the dirty work is not the diapers, but it is
No.
allowing us to have a practical application of what's going to be best for children as we discover ourselves, because we're planting seeds in the children for trees whose leaves we will never sit up under. And that's one of the things that I love about the early childhood industry, is that we are often overlooked, but you find those jewels like you find those jewels like me that says, hey, I'm going to stand here and shine and allow others who are around me to shine too, because who benefits? The children, the families, and ultimately the community.
Hmm. And you see here, I have a lot of gray hair. So sometimes, just sometimes, you get to sit under those leaves of those trees. So
Yes, just a little bit. I call
I,
those
I
sparkles,
have,
honey. Those are sparkles,
yes,
girl.
sparkles,
Those are
wisdom
sparkles.
sparkles.
Yes.
I have been been very fortunate to have former students' children now in my program. I have former students who now currently work for me, so I have been blessed in
Wow.
many ways. So yes. So today we're going to talk about some quality and accreditation. So for folks who might be new
Yes.
or not really sure what we're talking about when talking about accreditation, they
Mm-hmm.
may think that we're talking about their state's quality rating. That's not what we're
Oh,
talking about in today's context. So,
no, no.
explain to folks what we're talking about in terms of accreditation. And I do want to touch, and I brought that up because I do want to touch on that too, the differences. But go ahead and tell folks.
Yes, most definitely. Accreditation, when we look at the institution of learning from elementary school through high school, we have those. And I'm going to give you this parallel example so that we can understand what we're doing and why national accreditation is so important. We know laws and acts like No Child Left Behind, those different laws. And when we go into the school system, no matter what elementary school system that you're at, everyone has this board of education. So when we look at the accreditation, looking at that as that is like a board of education for early childhood. As we stated earlier, that anybody really can at this point open up a facility if you have the money, or if you have the resources, if you're blessed with the opportunity. And so when we look at accreditation, it says that no matter where your program is, if it is a home, if it is a center, if it is a ministry, we're going to be a part of a formal process that says that we're going above our local ordinances, we're going above our state regulations. We are invested in the early childhood program. And so, what you do with the accreditation is just go through that formal process to look at elevating the totality of your program, making sure that you're meeting benchmarks of excellence, because it is great. I commend those who open up programs, and I always say that not all high quality programs are nationally accredited, but nationally accredited programs are high quality because it gives an emphasis on continuous improvement, not just in the classroom, but even for the educators, the professional development, which are really critical in fostering, nurturing, and stimulating the children's mind and making sure that we are there. So, again, it is really just a voluntary but a formal process that says that regardless of if I'm in New York, California, or Florida, we're going to come together on one accord and do what's best for children.
Yeah. I wondered, have you seen, and this is just really more of a curiosity, have you seen the numbers of accreditation go down or go up since so many states now are implementing their own quality rating system? Have you seen any changes in the number of folks coming in to do accreditation?
No, I have not. I have not. And so, with the quality rating and improvement system, that is the QRIS for many programs or many states, that's like your stars. Those are, those different
Hmm.
superlatives that represent each organization. Now, many states, even for instance, such as Maryland, may have their own accreditation, but they also look at alternative pathways because each accreditation organization and even the state accreditation is different. And so it's
Yeah.
really at a place where it's stagnant. When talking with programs, when choosing whether a state accreditation or a national accreditation, the goal is to be the top, to be the best, to have the most talented staff, to make
Hmm.
sure that you're having a high quality program. So there is not a difference, but for some people, some of the state accreditations are a little bit more strenuous. Now, let's talk about really since COVID and how exposed our industry has been. As I stated earlier, I came into this industry for all of the wrong reasons. I didn't have credentials, I didn't have formal education, but because we are working with such young children, there are a lot of times where we do have that revolving door. And depending on your accreditation body, sometimes directors or leaders have to look at the credentials. And when your state's QRIS may say, well, a level 4, you can have the state accreditation and or you can go for a national accreditation, then that's where there isn't really a difference in how many are becoming accredited nationally versus state, because we look at some states now have their own credentialing program. So it just really depends on one, looking at what accreditation body is going to best serve your organization, and if you at least have those minimal standards for education of your staff. So really, there hasn't been a difference. It just has been alternative pathways in order to have the highest level for each state.
Yeah, you touched on so many things there. I definitely believe in the quality improvement plan, and as a provider who has done our national accreditation,
Mm.
we were actually the first after school program to be accredited through the National After School Association in my state.
Amazing.
Then we were
Wow.
the first, yeah, then we were the first after school program in the state to have 5 stars in our state. So we did it twice. We did it on the
Yes.
national level and the and the
Yes.
state level.
Come
And I
on.
only say that to not to brag at all. Honestly, it was a lot of work, but to really be able to
Right.
talk about the journey because we didn't start at a
Yes.
5. It wasn't like everything came out the box and we're like, "Woo, we're a
Mm-hmm.
5." No, we weren't a 5.
Mm-hmm.
We had
Mm.
to continually work to improve
Mm-hmm.
that rating till we got to the point where we were a 5.
Yes.
So it is a
Mm.
journey, but it's a journey
Yeah.
that really doesn't end. It's a continuum, right? Because best
Yes.
practice changes, your
Yes.
staffing may change, you may add
Mm-hmm.
programs, you may shrink down programs. There's so many factors that may change. Your parent
Yeah.
board may change because that's
Yes.
part of it, right? Having all
Mm-hmm.
the different voices at the table.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say in my personal journey, although getting that paper and the accolades was wonderful, I can't lie.
Yes.
I do
Mm-hmm.
have to say that the actual journey with my team was the
Yes.
most impactful for me as an owner. Um,
Yes.
just seeing the people in my place growing and moving
Mm-hmm.
towards the same common goal. We knew before we even got that paper, we all looked at each other and said, whether we get this or not, we knew we did our best work. We knew
Yes.
we had come so far. So
Yes.
if you're really, especially now, if you're really looking to reignite that why,
Mm-hmm.
that passion in
Mm.
you and your team, because let's face it, the last 4 years they've been tough. They've been tough. And
Yes.
so if you're really looking to, what, how am I going to up the ante? How am I going to
Mm-hmm.
say, we're not done here yet?
Mm.
That's a great
Yes.
way to go. And it's a great way to rebuild your team and restructure your team, I think.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you celebrated that and that you knew, regardless of whether or not you earned a certificate or not, there was this team building that really happened to bring you all together as a team to look at each other in a different light, because now we
Mm-hmm.
understand why we're doing this. It's not just another job. It's not just, oh, I'm showing up. It's not just about circle time.
Yeah.
It's not just about, oh, nobody want to watch these children. You begin to see
Mm-hmm.
yourself in a different light and start to have that self-efficacy that says, I know who I am. I know my purpose, and I'm going to be the best educator that I can be, whether you consider yourself a childcare professional, whether you're calling
Yeah.
yourself an early education or early childhood education. It is about one, as I state, when we look at accreditation as a pie, as a totality, I tell programs that I work with 65% of what happens in order for you to become a nationally accredited program is what goes on in the classroom. It is how the teacher sees themselves. It is about the teamwork, because we can add on the paperwork, we can change the
Mm-hmm.
policy, we can purchase something brand new, and all of that is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if the heart is not there to serve children,
Mm-hmm.
if the heart is not there to help my teammate to say, hey, I know that you can do it. Let's take this continuing education class. Let's come together. Let's paint. Let's do what we need to do. And so just to hear how you guys made a resolution, if we get it on the first time or not, we know that we are
Mm-hmm.
better. And that is just wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with me. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I thought one of the coolest things was watching ladies who were 42 years old, like shout out to Miss Angela, who went back to
Oh,
school at 42
yes.
years old, said, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And so
Mm-hmm.
just watching them like re-enroll in college and how
Mm.
they lit up, like how proud they were
Yes.
of themselves, how proud
Yes.
she was to share that with her daughter who was a bit older at that time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, she might have been middle school or whatever.
Mm.
Like helping, if you want to really have impact on not just your community and the children, but your people, right? If your people
Yes.
with you 10, 15, 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
like that's your family, you know what I mean? and
Yes.
and so this is just one way, and I'm very excited and passionate about this myself, because quality is something I've been talking about for 20 years. Like
Amen.
literally it's important. It
It
matters. And I
does.
remember one gentleman who worked at our school, and he said, well, accreditation isn't anything. It's just something you pay somebody to give you a paper to say good things about you.
Mm.
He didn't last long.
Not at
He wasn't
all.
there to do the work, and he didn't
Mm.
understand it. And them girls came after him like a beehive. They was like, no, I'm sorry, you weren't
Mm.
here doing that work. It was way
Mm-hmm.
more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
until you do it, it's hard for someone to understand the
Yes,
work
that's
and the love that goes into that.
yeah, that's a part of the common misconceptions about accreditation, where sometimes people think that it's not worth it, and or it is too expensive, and or it is time consuming. But just as you stated, and I share with people all the time, it took me 12 years to finish my undergraduate degree because life is lifing. But I knew that once I stood into the classroom and I embraced what was going on around me, that this was my industry. One of my grandmothers, she was 76 years old before she completed her degree. And I tell people all the time, we prayed to live to 76. So you're going to be 76 years old with a degree or 76 years old without the degree. But as far as just going and having a purpose filled and a purpose driven life, to say that I'm going to pour back in, as they say, when the student is ready, the master will appear. It doesn't matter how long you've worked in this industry, to begin to have that self fulfilling part that says, I've earned my credentials, I've paid my dues. There's nothing that can outweigh that. And so I'm glad he doesn't work here, because that was a little toxic.
Yeah.
That's a little toxic. The long term benefits of becoming an accredited program outweigh any person's thoughts. It outweighs even the initial cost. It outweighs even the time and effort that you have to put in, because when we look at it, it's you. You
Yeah.
are the face of that business. You are the face of where those parents feel comfortable. So it's just the same as becoming a Better Business Bureau person or advocate. You want to show that we're not just in it for the money, we're in it for the benefit for everyone involved, because that's what accreditation does. It forces you to look at your relationships with the parents. It forces you to look at the relationships and the benefits of what you're providing your staff. It forces you to say, is what we are doing best for children? And if it's not, let's put a plan in place. It is us that is representing this industry. So why not represent it to the best that we can? Because when we're not representing, when we're not on our state quality rating and improvement system, that's why people begin to look at us as just, oh, highly paid babysitters. But when we're an
Hmm.
accredited program, and when we've went to school, and when we're pushing forward, hey, don't talk to me like that. I did something
Yeah.
big. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what is expensive? This is what I'm going to say to the folks out there who think it's expensive. You know what is expensive? Having to keep rehiring staff. You know what is
Mm.
expensive? Not getting the closing those tours because there is a
Mm-hmm.
accredited center around the corner from you, or
Mm-hmm.
somebody who really believes in quality, in your neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
and they are exuding excellence, and they are
Yes.
pushing the bar, setting the bar, jumping
Yes.
the bar, being the bar,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Come on,
yeah,
somebody.
girl, I
Come,
know.
girl.
We speak the same language.
Yes, we do.
We
Because
speak
I
the
tell,
same language. Yeah.
listen, when I was running a program, I would have parents drive 45 minutes to an hour to bring their infant, their toddler, or their preschooler to my program. And I would tell the staff, a place to thrive is worth the drive. Again, just in case you
Yeah.
missed it, a place to thrive is worth the drive. And so you can't be upset if your neighbor who's around the corner is putting in the effort. You may have said, well, they don't have it, they're not going to get it. But guess what? Within 6 months to 2 years, they may have it. It may cost them a little
Hmm.
blood, sweat, and tears, but they're going to
Hmm.
have it, and they're going to make a demarcation in the difference between their programs. And like you said, it's going to cost you more in the long run because you won't have your systems together. You won't have your purpose
Yeah.
together. Your mission won't be together. And it's so important that leaders, we set the standard and say, you may not have your credentials right now, but when you come on a board with us, we're going to make sure that you have a rewarding and a fulfilling career. Because as early childhood educators, the only difference between us and the school system is that we are doing this on our own. We're setting our standards, and we're just a part of a voluntary process that tells us, hey, are you doing what's best for children? We're coming together in solidarity as
Hmm.
early childhood educators to say we believe in what we do, and there's a standard that of excellence that we are going to follow.
Yeah. And so, one of the things when I'm interviewing staff, I tell them,
Mhm.
we don't just grow children here. We grow leaders. That's our thing.
Yes,
We grow leaders.
yes.
And I mean that in with children, and I
Uh-huh.
mean that for my team. Like, we
Mm.
grow leaders here, and I don't just mean about the little people. I mean about the
Yes.
big people too.
Come
All the people
on.
under my roof. We are growing leaders here.
Mm.
And that's my
Mm.
vision. That's my mission for my
Mm.
program. And
Yes.
so because we talk so much, I'm sorry, I'm Italian. My love is coming out because we talk
I'm
so
loving it.
much.
Yes.
Because we talk so much to leaders on our podcast, like, I
Mm.
need them to really get this, because I know that folks are struggling right now. I know
Mm.
they're trying to figure out how to re-energize their team, how to get their centers back on track, because centers were really, in my opinion, were in a good place before the pandemic, and then a
Mm.
lot of pieces
Mm-hmm.
got unraveled for folks,
Mm.
and this
Yes, it
is a
did.
great way to get yourself back on track, whether you
Mm.
do it on the national level, your state level, but you got to do something. You
Yeah.
got to do something
Yes.
that's going to help re-energize you, your passion, why you're here,
Mm.
and get your team behind you, and that common goal. And
Yes.
when I say your team, I mean your parents, getting your parents on
Yes.
board, educating your
Mm.
parents about what it is that
Mm.
we do here, because like you said, we're not babysitters. And I do think it's funny, because when people say highly paid babysitters, I'm like, I don't know the last. I know in our state, if you do the math now, and I'm not the most expensive for sure, so
Mm.
275 for a toddler, that's at my program for 50 hours a
Woo.
week. Divide that by 275. You're paying me like $4.50 an hour, maybe
Mm.
5. How much you paying the little babysitter from when you go out on Friday night? 10, 15, $20, depends on what state. So I'm getting paid less than the babysitter. So
Come on.
with a degree, right?
Come on.
So you know.
Come on.
So
And
stop
what
saying
you're,
that, people.
yes, because
Stop
you're
saying
having,
it.
listen,
I
y'all
know,
better stop
Melody.
saying that, because you're having an impact on quality care and education for
Mm-hmm.
the children. See, as you're
Mm-hmm.
stating, you have to attach yourself to something. No man is an island on his own. And if you're doing your
Yeah.
state QRIS, if you're going through accreditation, it's going to drive your center to adhere to best practices and high standards,
Yes,
which
ma'am.
is going to
Yeah.
directly impact the care and education of children. We have to ensure that we are providing developmentally appropriate practices, inclusion, responsive needs to the children. And if you don't have a guide, if
Mm-hmm.
you don't even if you're saying, okay, well, I don't know about accreditation yet, you still need to get a mentor or someone to
Yeah.
help you that's been there, that's done that, and that says, hey, I can hold your hand, or let me give you a plan so that we can promote a healthy development in your
Yeah.
children, a healthy development in the staff, making sure that your children are ready for school, because we're not
Yeah.
just haphazardly operating, we're operating with intentionality and in the belief in what we provide, the services that we provide are worth the drive. If you're driving 30 minutes or 45 minutes or 15 minutes and walking across the street, where you are bringing your child is important. And I tell educators all
Mm-hmm.
the time, we are a service provider and we want our parents to pay on time. Well, being a service provider, we're not like McDonald's or any other organization. You
Yeah.
can't say, oh, ma'am, I'm sorry, I messed over your 2-year old. Let me go to the back and
Mm-hmm.
get you another one.
Get
No,
your new one.
no, as much
Yeah.
as the children may get on the parents' nerves or challenges that the parents may have, this is not pet cemetery. We are not remaking children. We have to develop and care for those children that we have. And especially as providers, when we're looking at our bottom line, when we're looking at a return of investment, when we're looking at our KPIs, let's look at if you're getting paid. And if you're not getting paid, then somebody somewhere does not see the value in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to set the
Yeah.
standards, because you don't go to the grocery store and say, hey, I want to get $50 worth of food and come back. You don't wait till next
Yeah.
month and say, I'm going to pay the light bill. So the services that we provide,
Yeah.
when we make it a precedence to have an excellence in service, it wouldn't matter if we charge $150 or $300. Parents are going to pay based off of the level of expertise and care and attention that we provide their children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Agreed. Um, so we forgot like only 8 minutes left. Melody, girl, we're gonna be new best friends. First
Yes,
of all,
we
are you in
are.
Georgia?
No,
Yes, we
I
are.
am
What
in
state are you in?
Indiana. I'm from Georgia.
Indiana.
Yes, right now
You're
I'm in
from Georgia.
Indiana.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
I thought I made some Georgia connection there. Okay. So let's leave folks with some actionable steps that they
Mm,
can do right now. They're energized, they're excited, they hear
mm-hmm.
your passion, they hear my passion. What can they do next, right? Let's help them because we only got like 8 minutes left. So
Okay.
let's help them. What do they do next? They're excited, they're ready to go. What's the next step, Melody?
Okay. So your next step is let's connect. You can go to ececircletime.com. Again, that's ececircletime.com. And what I want you to do in between that and making sure that you're following, you're subscribed to this podcast, because Erica's always bringing the heat. My advice for you, if you're considering accreditation, is to start small and build momentum. Begin to see what accreditation organization aligns with your business. There are more than one accreditation bodies. I wish I could. There's more than one national accreditation body. And so
Yeah.
you need to look and see what's going to work best for your business. And once you decide, break down the process in manageable steps. Accreditation is about a continuum. You got to start small, build momentum, let your team know that we're in it for the long haul. Take the accreditation um, portfolio and your standards and just break them down and celebrate each milestone along the way. Make sure that you are looking for support from your peers or your mentors. Your state may even pay for your accreditation process. They may, depending on the funds, will even pay for me to come out. But you have to remember that your accreditation is a journey of continuous improvement, even after becoming accredited, because you are a valuable and a viable business. You have to know that ultimately you seeking accreditation is going to have a benefit for the children, families, and the staff in your program. So let's connect. Start small, build momentum, get your team together, and break it down piece by piece, because you want to be open for 50 years. So why not be open for 50 years with accreditation, knowing that you achieve
Yes.
the highest in the industry?
That is all good. So I'm going to add to what Melody said. First of all, see if there are grants out there so that you can get the supports that you need. That would
Hmm.
be number one.
Yes.
Stop talking yourself off the cliff and saying it's too
Yes.
expensive, because you'll drop 20
Yes.
grand on a website, but not
Uh
20 grand to invest in your kids, your staff, your community, your families. Crazy.
oh.
I know. So there's that. Also, before you get overwhelmed, start with making a list on your wall of all the things you're really great at. Stop
Mm-hmm.
looking at what you don't have, what you can't
Mm.
have. Start with
Mm-hmm.
what you do have and
Yes.
build off that, because that will really help keep you motivated when you say, oh my God, look at all these things. We're already almost there, right? Don't
Yes.
start with what you don't have. I'm going to tell you right now, I grew up poor. We did not have a lot of money. We started our center with 20 grand. Okay.
Mm.
Got a little business loan and just went from there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I opened up 6 centers. I'm just
Woo!
going to tell you now, you don't have a lot. Yeah, you don't got to have a lot of money to do this. You got to
That's
have a
right.
lot of heart, some
Mm.
patience, and the right folks
Yes.
behind you, and you can do it. So I want to
Yes.
talk to everybody who might have a smaller center, a family center. You do not have to be the museum school. You do not have to have $1 billion in the bank. You do
That's
not.
right.
Okay. You
That's
have to
right.
love what you do and care about what you're doing.
Yes.
And also consider, as Melody said, there's many different types of
Mm-hmm.
accreditation. Think about the age group that you serve, not just your
Mm-hmm.
business model, but the age group that you serve. If you are like,
Mm-hmm.
when we first started, we were primarily just a before and after school program.
Mm.
And when I say just, I mean, I love that age group. That was literally my heart and literally the start of everything. But
Yes.
my point is we went for national after school accreditation because
Mm.
I really wanted the accreditation to be true to the work that we were doing in our programs.
That's
So
it.
for me, that made the most sense. So
Yes.
I hope that you guys are inspired. We're going to put all Melody's links below. We'll probably have her on our show again because she is fantastic. I wish we had more time. Um, if you are on our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. I'm tired of
Yes.
begging. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers. Today is the day. Let's get it. Let's get it
Yes.
happening. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, any of those, please give us a review, give us a subscribe, a follow, a notification, whatever it is on that particular platform. Oh, I
Yes.
also want to say thank you guys so much. We are #2 podcast on Good Pods under Korea out of the top 100. So we are getting
Yes.
there, but only because of the love that you are giving us.
Mm.
So thank you so much for tuning in. As always, remember it's the small details that make a big impact on the success of your childcare business. As always, have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Hold on, sweetheart.
Well, all the cute little kiddos have been picked up and it's time to go home. And that'll do it for another episode of the Child Care Director's Chair. Please leave a review so Erica knows the information is helping you to manage and improve your childcare centers. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episode from Erica's Child Care Director's Chair.